Hello everybody, it's Emily, and it is time for one of my favorite readathons. It's the Magical Readathon. It is time for OWLS. So this is a readathon. If you're not familiar, I'll be sure to link G's announcement video below because that's going to give you all the details you need. But it's a readathon inspired by Harry Potter. So what could possibly be better? And it's inspired by the exams that students take, the OWLS and the Newts, that students take at Hogwarts to kind of prepare them for their future magical career. So she has an entire career guide, and you pick out a career where you take certain classes and certain exams or exams for different classes and have that kind of prepare you for your magical career. And so she has a prompt for each class or each subject at Hogwarts that there could be a test in. And last year I did ministry worker because that very much mirrors my actual job in the government. But this year I wanted to do something different just to kind of change it up and have some fun. So I am going to go for Magizoologist, or the magical zoologist who takes care of magical creatures. Because I love animals. I'm a huge animal person, and it just to actually be able to take care of magical creatures would just be an amazing career if I were actually in the world of Harry Potter. And she also has some extra things that you can do if you want to add on to it. So there are 4 prompts that are, or 4 tests that are needed for Magizoologist, and there's 1 extra certificate that I'm going to go for. So there are 5 prompts that are related to 5 different prompts that will guide which books I'm picking for this month. So let's just get into it. The first test that I need, or the first test I need to pass, is Care of Magical Creatures, and the prompt for this one was to find a book that had a beak on the cover, and this one was kind of easy for me to decide, given that it's the Magical Readathon, and given that I've been doing a Harry Potter reread recently, and given that I am on the 3rd one that happens to have a picture of Buckbeak on the cover. Figured this would just be the perfect one to read for that prompt. So I'm going to continue my reread of Harry Potter. I'm on the 3rd one, so I'm going to be annotating this copy and also reading the illustrated edition that I have, and I'm pumped. Always pumped for a reread of Harry Potter. The next one that I need is Charms, and the prompt for this one was to read a cover that was mostly white. And for this one, I'm glad I got the UK editions of the Mistborn series by Brandon Sanderson because they're mostly white, and I'm participating in the Cosmerealong, and I'll also be sure to link information about that below. And I finished Elantris recently. Loved it. I'll be talking more about that in a wrap-up. But I'm going to be moving on to the Mistborn series and reading The Final Empire by Brandon Sanderson. This one follows a world where there was a battle for good and evil, and the bad guys won, and it's 1,000 years after the bad guys won, and it follows a group of people who are still trying to, I guess, fight for good in this world. And I know the magical system has something to do with metals and being able to ingest metals and have that be the basis of powers that you have. And if you can ingest all of the different kinds of metals and use them for power, then you are a Mistborn. That's really all I know about this series, but I'm pumped. And so this is going to be my book for Charms and double as a continuation for the Cosmerealong. So the 3rd test I need to pass is for Herbology. And for this one, she took inspiration from a plant name that had 2 M's to kind of start both words of that plant. And so the prompt was to have a book that starts with the letter M. This one I struggled with because I really don't have too many unread books on my shelf that start with the letter M. And so one of the few that I could find was The Masked City by Genevieve Cogman. And this is the 2nd book in the Invisible Library series. I haven't started the series, which means that in April I will also be reading The Invisible Library, and that way I can hopefully get to the 2nd one. I have been so excited to start this series, and I have been wanting to do a read in the spring of this and just kind of binge the series. I have the first 4, so hopefully I can at least binge most of it, and I'm excited. This one, all I know is it involves libraries and magical spies, and that's what I need to know. and I feel like it'll hopefully just be super immersive and fun and fast-paced, which is really what I'm needing right now and what I'm kind of drawing towards in terms of my reading. So the fourth exam I need to pass is Potions, and that one involved reading a book that is under 150 pages. And I actually also have an entire video of just books on my shelves that are really, really short. And I defined that as 250 pages and under, or about that for that video. But there were plenty on that list that were under 150 pages. And I think the one I'm most excited for is New Erotica for Feminists. And it's by a bunch of different people. And it says satirical fantasies of love, lust, and equal pay. And it's just supposed to be just a bunch of little, I don't know if they're short stories or just a collection of thoughts that are just supposed to be satirical kind of takes on society and kind of point to how important feminism is and is going to continue to be. And I have no idea what to expect, but I'm really excited to dive in, and I've had some friends who have really enjoyed this, and so I'm just going to keep passing it on to other feminists I know. So that is my pile for the OWLS, and hopefully that should be manageable. I think that's going to be, especially now that I've got plenty of time for reading, I feel like that's going to be super manageable for OWLS, and hopefully will also still be manageable come time for Newts in August, but we'll see. So correction, actually the last thing is History of Magic, and that's for just an extra bonus certificate. So she has an entire set of just extra things you can do just to be extra. And so I'm just extra as a human being sometimes, especially when it comes to my reading. And so she had a really cool prompt for legal defense of fantastic beasts. And for that, it was to have care of magical creatures, which already is in the actual set of prompts for magical zoologist anyway, and a History of Magic. And History of Magic's prompt was to read a book that involved or had witches in it, witches, wizards, etc. And I actually have on Audible, I have the audiobook for The Girl Who Drank the Moon by Kelly Barnhill, and it just seems so delightful and whimsical, and I'm really excited about this one. This one is about a witch who lives in a forest, and there's I guess a sort of town nearby, and there's some sort of sacrifice of children to this witch, but she's not actually an evil witch that is wanting these sacrifices, and instead she kind of takes care of these kids and then sends them to another town that's on the other side of the forest. And she normally feeds them sunlight, I believe, to kind of keep them healthy. And she accidentally feeds one of these children one year moonlight instead, and it gives this girl powers. And I don't know, I've just heard it's super sweet and whimsical and fun, which again is exactly what I need right now. And so that is going to be my prompt for History of Magic that will get me that extra certificate so that I can also help legally protect the animals that I'm taking care of. So that is actually it for OWLS. And there's some other books that I would like to get to, hopefully. Alright, are we done? Cool. So there's some other books that I would like to get to throughout the month. I'm also participating in the Elderling-along, which is a read-through of a part of Robin Hobbs's Elderling, Realm of the Elderling universe. I read Assassin's Apprentice last month, and you'll hear more about that in a wrap-up / I read it in a vlog. So the next one in that series is Royal Assassin, and so I'm pumped to continue with this series, and yeah, I had a lot of fun with the first one, so this one will also be a priority for the month of April. April is also the 50th anniversary of Earth Day, and I work on climate change, and that's my passion, so it's kind of cool that it's been 50 years since the first Earth Day. So I wanted to be sure to have some environmental reads this month in particular as well. So I have a few that I've picked out, and one of those books is No Impact Man, The Adventures of a Guilty Liberal Who Attempts to Save the Planet and the Discoveries He Makes About Himself and Our Way of Life in the Process by Colin Beavan. This is actually also on Scribd, the audiobook for this one, so I might go that route. But this just seems like a really just interesting read, and I've always been interested, and I'm definitely trying to work towards just reducing the amount of just junk and stuff that I produce and use, And so I figured this will not only hopefully have some practical tips, but also hopefully just be insightful and funny and interesting. So we'll see how this goes. There are also a couple of books that I would like to, I've started both of these and read a fair bit, and I think actually a decent amount in actually both of them, but I want to finish them. I started them a long time ago and they've just been sitting unfinished on my shelf staring at me this entire time. And so it is time for me to actually completely finish Silent Spring by Rachel Carson. Can I call myself an environmentalist having not read the entirety of Silent Spring? Okay, the answer to that question is obviously yes, but still I have not finished Silent Spring by Rachel Carson. This is a classic environmental text, and I read most of it for grad school. I was supposed to read all of it and did not 100% finish the book. So I would like to finish it. I absolutely love this book, or at least the majority that I've read of it, especially since this book helped galvanize the environmental movement. I feel like it's an appropriate month to just actually sit down and finish this book, finally. So I'm excited to finish this. And I also want to finish Merchants of Doubt by Naomi Oreskes and Eric M. Conway. Again, this is a classic text kind of in the field that explores disinformation campaigns, and they talk more than just about climate change in this book. They talk about cigarette smoke. They talk about a lot of different things in this book that are beyond environmental issues, but this is a just classic investigation and just kind of classic text into how disinformation campaigns work, how dangerous they can be, and they both talk a lot about climate change as well, and how that disinformation campaign kind of got its roots, and even how it's the same people, even if it's not topically related, that there are similar groups of people who are actually starting disinformation campaigns about seemingly completely unrelated things. And it is fascinating. I'm about halfway through. Yeah, I'm about halfway through this. It was actually published in 2010, and the first half of it that I read a few years ago, and it was still just incredibly insightful and informative and interesting, and I would like to just go ahead and finish the rest of this, and hopefully I can do that this month as well. There are also some audiobooks. Let me grab my phone. There are also some other audiobooks that are on Libby that I'm probably going to get to this month. So one is Fire. I've started listening to Fire by Kristen Kishore on audio, and that is the second book following Grace Lane. And it follows a different character in a different part of the world, but I'm absolutely loving it so far. I have a virtual book club meeting that we're going to have with a few friends of mine. So we're going to be reading The Immortalists by Chloe Benjamin. So I'm really excited to see what I think about that one. So that will be another audiobook that I will be listening to. And The Immortalist is about, I believe, 4 siblings who at one point in their life, I think when they were kids, went to a fortune teller to figure out when they would die. And it's about how each of them lived their life and knowing when they would die. So that should be interesting. And I'm also hoping that my hold for Supernova will come available in April, so I might also be listening to Supernova, which is the 3rd book in the Renegade series by Marissa Meyer that follows renegades and arch enemies and good and evil, and it's a superhero story that I've had a lot of fun with. But yeah, those are my reading plans for the month of April. Quite a few plans, but again, I'll have a lot of time for reading, so hopefully I'll be able to get through everything that I would like to. And are you participating in OWLS? Let me know what your career is and what you plan on reading. Link me all of your TBR videos or lists. I would love to know. I'm pumped, so I hope you're excited about it too. And be sure to subscribe for more bookish content. I'll link Twitter and Instagram, all that good stuff down below. That's where I like to hang out, and I will see you in my next video. Bye.